How to catch carp with Solid PVA bags. Today's carp fishing adventure brings Alex and I to Norton Disney, which is a day ticket complex of lakes. There's a few different waters here to choose from, and when we arrived we spoke to a guy called Ewan in the lodge. He's one of the bailiffs here, and he advised heading over to Turner's Lake. That's where we've come round and set up. We've set up here because on the other side there has been a few fish crashing up against the snags. This video is going to kind of cover a little bit about the approach that we use this session and also give you some tips on solid PVA bag fishing. I was aiming for those trees on the far side, like trying to get at least a little bit close, but I've got to be honest, I didn't go anywhere near. But it was as close as I could get with a massive cast. Massive cast? Well, I mean, it was as hard as I could go without breaking my bones. Or your rod. We'll give it a go though. I mean, it went in the lake. That's the main thing. I'd say solid bags have probably been my most used tactic when I've been carp fishing over the past year. They're just really easy tactic to use. You can have them already tied up in advance. They're actually quite easy to tie when you get used to it. But there are a couple of times when I would probably stray away from solid bags and use something else. Firstly, if it's really weedy, like if there's weed right up to the surface, it probably isn't a very good idea to use a solid bag. If there's a little bit of weed on the bottom, it will sit over that, but when it's like super thick, you're likely to not get a very good presentation. The only other time I probably wouldn't use a solid bag is if there's lots of bream in the lake. Bream are quickly attracted to a small patch of bait, just like a method feeder. And then they'll come over and you are very likely to get a bite straight away from a bream. And if there's lots of bream in the lake, you'll be played by them all session. So if there's loads of bream or it's really weedy, I might not use a solid bag. But other than that, I'll pretty much give them a go anywhere. Yeah. That's going. Well, the day has turned out to be alright. It started really gloomy and miserable when it was raining. Pretty dull. But yeah, it's flattened off, the sun's just going down, and we hooked into a fish. You going under them? Yeah. No. Yeah. Really? Yeah, we got one. You can always rely on a solid bag to get a bite, and look at that, just as the light was dropping, one of our rods cast over to that far side, or as close as I could get, went off with this beautiful mirror. Really dark, long fish. I'm gonna catch one tonight, it's gonna be twice as big as that. Are you? Really? Yeah. He was swimming along like that. He saw a solid bag, he was like, Now he's in my hand. He didn't expect that coming, did he?
Do you want to hold it out anymore and make it look even bigger?
This is what I like to do with my fish, make them look big, impresses the ladies.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
I doubt it does actually. Right, let's get this fish back. Now we're going to run through how to tie the rig that we use when solid bag fishing. The components you'll need are as follows. Leader material. We like this supple but heavy Duracord. An inline lead, 2 or 3 ounces tends to be perfect. A solid bag tail rubber, a ring swivel, some uncoated supple braid, a size 6 or 8 wide gape hook, a hook bait. For this demonstration we'll use fake corn, and some bait stops. Helpful tools to tie this rig will be some scissors, a splicing needle and a longer stick needle. Firstly, let's do the lead setup. Take your leader material and cut off approximately 1.5 feet or 45 centimeters.
Insert the splicing needle into the woven material approximately 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters from the end. Slide it along within the leader before exiting 1.5 inches or 3 to 4 centimeters down. Grab the end of the leader, close the gate latch on the needle and pull it back through its core. Pull this tight and cut off any tag end. You now have a loop at one end of your leader. At the other end you'll want to splice it just the same, but slide on a ring swivel before pulling the end back through. Before sliding your lead onto the leader, cut a tiny bit off the end of the lead insert. This will make the solid bag tail rubber fit better. Now use your baiting needle to thread your lead down onto the leader. Follow it up with the solid bag tail rubber and pull it down into place. Ensure that the swivel pulls neatly inside the lead, but in the event of a break off, the swivel can pull out. Use compatible size 8 swivels to be sure of this. Now for the actual rig. Cut off approximately 7 inches or 17 centimeters of supple braided hook link. In one end, tie a small overhand loop. Mount your chosen bait with a baiting needle and a bait stop. Putting your hook bait on first ensures you get the hair length right first time. With the bait mounted, take your hook and thread the braid through the eye towards the point. Wrap it around the shank approximately 7 to 10 times before passing it back through the eye, again towards the point. Now pull it down tight. You can see the angle that the hook sits at. This is why you must always pass the braid through the eye towards the point, rather than going away from it. If you go the wrong way, the hook will sit like this and be far less likely to catch in a fish's mouth. Now tie a figure of 8 loop knot in the braid. The aim is for the hook link to end up approximately 3.5 to 4 inches long. That's about 10 centimeters. With the rig complete, now just use the loop to attach it to the ring swivel. Pass the loop through the swivel and then put your hook bait through the loop. Pull it down tight and you're done. As an alternative to corn, you could also fish with a small pop-up hook bait. If you switch the corn for a buoyant bait like this pop-up, be sure to pinch on a split shot to weigh it down and keep it just off the bottom. So that's the full process of setting up a solid bag rig. If the leader looks like too much hassle to splice, then there are ready-made options available. Most good tackle shops should also sell ready-tied solid bag rigs too, should you struggle or wish to save time tying rigs. Finally, we'd recommend creating a large figure of 8 loop in your main line. This large loop will enable you to loop on a new bag and fresh leader quickly, and then make up a new bag with the old rig. Hook bait options when fishing solid bags is really up to you. Anything dry will go in the bag fine. Personally though, we find bright or buoyant baits work really well. Most of the time we'll fish with a high-vis 12mm pop-up, and that seems to do the trick. However, if small fish like roach or rudd are taking the bait, there's no reason why you can't use a larger 15mm pop-up or boilie. We regularly use solid bags on their own, without any loose feed over the top. They work as a great rig to just cast at showing fish, and can often do a quick bite. However, if you're fishing for a day or more and you really want to build your swim, then you can by all means spod over the top. A scattering of pellet, crushed boilie, hemp or even corn can keep fish in your swim longer and keep the bites coming throughout your session. On this trip though, we didn't know where bites might come from, and rather than committing to a spot, we spread our solid bags out throughout the swim, recasting them wherever the fish were crashing. the wind has died off completely now, and that's enabled us to cast that little bit further, a little bit closer to where the fish have been showing. 2 solid bags in position. We will see if they produce a bite. You know what I really want to do? Eat steak.
You're in luck. I'm about to cook you some food.
Well, it's a rare occasion, but I've caught a fish bigger than Alex's. This one was on the, this left-hand rod was on the Solid Bag. I had 2 other rods out, one on a chod rig and one on just a standard pop-up rig, both single hook baits, but that little parcel of food, the little patch of pellets around the 10mm hook bait, 12mm hook bait, sorry, clearly is what's working on this lake. Before you can reuse your rig and put it in another PVA bag, you have to dry it off. So I always bring a cloth with me just to make sure that the lead and rig is all dry before putting it into the PVA bag, or else you'll just melt a hole in the bag and you have to start the whole process again. So now that that's dry, I can put it in a PVA bag. So I've taken a PVA bag out of the pack. This is a small bag. They also do like medium and large sizes, but the larger bags don't tend to cast as far as they're less aerodynamic, but they can be handy if you're trying to introduce a little bit more bait. First of all, you want to put a little bit of pellet in the bottom of the bag, just to line the bottom. Then take your lead and drop it inside. Try and get the lead quite central, as that will make it cast more accurately, and also ensure your rig doesn't tangle around the lead stem. Scoop some bait in on top of it, and once it's sort of just over halfway filled up, you can then drop your hook bait into the corner of the bag. Pushing it to the side just means it's less likely to get tangled around the lead stem. Once your hook bait's in, you can top up with a few more scoops of pellet, just leaving a couple of centimeters of bag at the top, because you want to grab hold of that and begin to tap the bag down to compress it all. Compressing the bag down and making it really compact is only really important if you're trying to cast relatively long distances. Once you've compacted the bag, you can just lick the top part and then twist it around the stem of the lead. That's why it's important to use the Solid Bag lead insert. That just enables you to have something to sort of wrap the PVA around. Then I'm just going to hold it there for a little while whilst the PVA sets. It only takes like 5 seconds or something. You get it wet, hold it tightly in place, and then let go. And it stays there, like glue, just like glue. Some people like to take some PVA string and wrap it around the top and tie off the bag. However, I've found just licking and twisting the PVA is totally strong enough and has always worked okay for us. Then you'll just want to tap down the corners of the bag. That'll continue to compress and make the bag more aerodynamic. Lick my finger and then tuck it over. Makes the end of the bag more rounded. Lick that next one, tuck it down. I'll then just make a few small holes in each side of the bag. Those holes will allow air to escape when the bag hits the bottom of the lake. Just means it's less likely for the bag to catch an air pocket and float up, spreading the pellets out. So you can put pretty much anything in a Solid Bag as far as the bait is concerned, but we've found a mix of small sizes of pellet tends to produce the most compact bag, the most aerodynamic bag, and it also just seems to work very well on places like this where the fish are used to seeing fish meal pellet as, you know, like as a natural food source almost to them. You can put crushed up boilies, you could put whole boilies in a solid bag, particularly if you're using, you know, quite large PVA bags, but they just don't pack down very neatly. You end up with a very mismatched shaped bag which does not cast very straight at all. We definitely find a mixture of sizes of pellet ranging from 6 mils down to 2 and even like 1 millimeter pretty much dust pellets packs into the bag really neatly and just tends to work really.
Our short session at Norton Disney has come to an end and I've managed another carp. Carl also had one last night. All fish came to the solid bags and I hope you've realised how effective this method can be. I absolutely love using it. It's really simple. You can cast it pretty much anywhere and use it at any lake, but especially at places like this, higher stocked waters and day ticket waters like this. It works so well. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you'd like to learn more about carp fishing, definitely click one of the videos that is on screen now. See you next time.